President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. For today's conversation, I have invited one of Liberia's best journalists, who I was fortunate to listen to and interact with as a young man. He was moving up the ladder from one county and now in Monrovia as the station manager, one of our best radio stations, OKFM, and he handles the OK Morning Rush. I'm talking about no one else but Clarence Piso Jackson, who has joined me, and also Ruben Dolly, who is my regular young man who's studying to be a medical doctor, but has a strong interest in media affairs and President Ellen Johnson's third. So, dear friends, we welcome you to the program. Madam President, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Brooklyn. Let me also say once again, welcome to Ruben, who's always with us, and a special welcome to
Clarence.
Clarence. Good to have both of you here joining Dr. Brooklyn in this. And I'll start off before we get into the discussion to say Happy New Year to all of those whom I have not met, I have not seen before this time, to wish that to all of them and to say thank you to all of those who sent me little baskets and little gifts. Say thank you very much for your kindness. Now we can proceed, but Dr. Brooklyn, I told you that one of the things I want to talk about today is the annual message.
Yes.
An important message to the people of this country.
Yes.
And so I do have some small bullet points.
Okay.
It's not going to be a lot of long discussion with me on all my bullet points. I'll just make some very important points on key issues. I can do all my bullet points first, and then you can then.
We are the interviewers, so we will determine how short or long that you go about it. But no, we will stay on point.
I'll take some of them and then stop. I do have these bullet points.
No, and rightly so. And there may be follow up. And Clarence?
Yeah.
There may be follow up from the bullet
And that's
point.
fine. And the reason for doing a bullet point is that I don't want to take numbers from the message and use those numbers and make a mistake on them. If I say it must be right, that means I took it right out of the annual message document that I read. So, that means, let me start with governance because I'm trying to follow the pattern. And on that, what I can say is that I'm very pleased with what's happening. I think particularly the passage of the Local Governments Act, something that was put in play during our administration, but now it's passed and now being made effective. I also like the idea about the Transition Act, which is something new that has come. So on those, I would say my main points on governance is that we note many of the other things, but these points I'd like to comment. And if I went on a bit to the economy, finance, and all of that, I noticed the growth rate, which is now going up to 5.1%, coming from 4% before. And now they expect that by 2028 it's going to be 6%. We'd like to see 7% because 7% is where you reach when you start to address poverty. And we also know that the per capita income that they mentioned, which is going to exceed $1,000 by 2029, is quite a task and quite an undertaking. And I think we want to follow up and see what measures will be taken to achieve those.
As a seasoned economist, do you think that's doable?
It depends on the measures that you put in to achieve it. Yes, everything is driven with a lot of effort. So we need to monitor the efforts in policies, in programs, execution. That's how we will be able to measure that. I also see that we have like 1.2 billion in revenue, budget revenue, which is again was said to be the highest amount in a highest amount period. And I think much of that comes from the effort in domestic revenue. But on that one, I think the point I want to make on that one is people don't like to pay taxes. And I do particularly big people, particularly government, real high level government people, because I face that. They don't pay taxes. So my word to the Director General of the Liberia Revenue Authority is I gotta be tough. He's a good performer in all ways that where he has served, as I know of. We just need to see him go one step further. Make those people pay that tax. Income tax through remittances is not a problem because it's taken away. Property tax is a big issue, and many people don't like to pay property tax. If you want to stop on those, you can stop, but I can go on.
We will let you go on, madam, but I want to come back to the projected the budget that has been passed, 1.2 billion. There are many who are saying that this 1.2 billion has got some one-time payment in it for 2026. Funders are now wondering that when these payments come in 2026, what happens in 2027? Do we continue at 1.2 or do you know it better than clients and myself? But these are some of the concerns that people have regarding the $1.2 billion budget.
That is a problem. If indeed upfront payment, mainly by concessions, are included and added into this amount, then yes, there's a problem because what it means is that following revenue streams will be affected by that because you would not have that amount again to add on for the year in revenue. So I think they need to be very careful about that. And when you're dealing with some of these concessions issues like the Ivanhoe and all those kinds of things that put a lot of money up front, running the risk, of course. If you do achieve it through their own meeting whatever they obligated themselves to do, then you do run into problems. So I think one has to monitor, the reports and just go. We now have an open government. If I recall correctly, there was a time when there was a big board platform that was put outside the Ministry of Finance.
Right. Open government initiative.
Where, there were general updates.
Yes.
So what's happening in revenue, what's happening in expenditure. So maybe they will consider going back to something like that. So that the public knows sufficiently and we can stop some of the rumors and stop some of the false statements. Let's tell it to the public, the entire thing. And you don't have too much trouble if you do that.
This is your program, The Liberian Renaissance, conversation with former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I will now pass on to my colleague, Clara.
Thank you, Dr. Brooklyn. Wow, you won't say your colleague. I got stuck when you were doing the introduction and that kind of characterization of my pressing. I was like, wow, this is Dr. Brooklyn. This is not ordinary pressing. But, it's good to be here. And this is my second radio interview with Madam President. I can remember I had the opportunity in 2010 when I was still at Radio Banga. I had an opportunity to interview Madam President. And it was a wonderful conversation. So, Madam President, it's good to be here again to talk
16 years later.
Yes, I'm in Monrovia. Here I am sitting again. What would you have done? How could you have done it better? When Dr. Brooklyn asked the question about some 200 million coming in as a shock, you express some concerns about, yeah, what you're hearing, if it is true, it will have some impact on revenue streams and those kinds of stuff. Yes, and I think our 200 million, what we're hearing is coming from a concession here, as Flumenthal, for example. What would you have done differently?
Well, I never engaged in upfront payments, so I don't think so. I think unless one is assured that there are other new areas, let's say, of concessions coming on stream, and you figure that, well, if I get this particular concession to pay this amount, right up front, I'm sure that I have 2 or 3 concessions in the making, that would also have amounts of taxes that would more or less be able to take place, for the lost one because we took an upfront payment. I hope that the consideration was given for doing this upfront payment on the basis that we believe we have 2 other concessions coming, for example, and those concessions will put enough into the budget, into the revenue stream, that we will not, again, be affected by this upstream. So what would I do? One makes a decision based on the circumstances. The circumstances that exist in this decision may be one thing. I may or may not have experienced those circumstances, and so my decision, I think, would be different. Then, if I were doing it again, I'd probably do it differently then. So it's hard to say what would you do, because you can only say what you would do when you're in place, and you can judge it from your surrounding circumstances. Difficult to try to say that.
And Madam, our questions here are not to seek a variance downward, but because you are an expert and you did this for 12 years in terms of your annual message, some of the conversations out there after the annual message had to do with job numbers and kilometers of roads, whether true or not true. But you are a veteran of this. What is the process that leads to the gathering and discussion of the information that form part of the president's annual message? Because the soothsayers out there are saying, well, some of this was just not true. Some of this, people misled the president. What's your take on it?
Well, unless I have complete data on that, it's difficult for me to say something is right or wrong or incorrect. So I have to go on the basis of what's there. We do have a Ministry of Finance, Planning, Economic Affairs. There was a time when we did have a sort of a think tank that would be the one that would monitor statistics of government's operations. I don't think we have much of that now, but I do believe that we have to take those words. Now, what's going to be required for monitoring is those who are going to hold the position in these particular things, those who are going to do like legislators, they will be able to judge some of those on what they see in their different areas, in their different constituencies. Superintendents will have to look at what they see in their counties, if they have that, see if those things are correct. It's difficult for me to say correct or not correct. I accept it the way it is, unless I get information that tells me differently.
President, I'm sure Dr. Brooklyn's question is from the background of how the regular presidential, if I may say, annual messages are written. For example, after His Excellency President Boakai delivered the recent annual message, he gave some of the stats and the numbers and the figures. The Ministry of Information came back to the country to say, the president made some mistakes. He didn't intentionally decide to do that, but there were some mistakes in some of the number these are the numbers, and this is what the president meant to say. He did not mean to say it this way. So that's why we are concerned. How do you get the information for the overall annual message? Do you do some check and balances?
The president gets his information from the lieutenants who serve. Different ministries, different agencies, they have the data, they have the information, they have to provide that which is the basis of being able to prepare the annual message. So if there is a correction done by a minister, and then the minister, I hope, got that corrected information from the particular institution or ministry that provided that example. And maybe in making that correction, the minister should have said that. I did not hear it myself, so I cannot even comment on what he said. I'm just hearing you say that the minister corrected it. So if he corrected it, I'm sure, first of all, he told the president of the correction he was going to make. The correction is merely to tell the public that mistakes can be made. As simple as that.
This is your program, The Liberian Renaissance. Conversation with former President Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I have my colleague, Clarence Piso Jackson from OKFM Morning Rush and station manager with me, and Ruben Dolly, a brilliant young man who's studying to be a medical doctor, but will not leave the journalism thing alone. He's always here with us. Ruben, you have a question for Madam President?
One greetings, President. I'm excited again to be here. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Madam President, how is the EGS Center focusing on youth development, especially young women?
Well, the whole purpose of the EGS Center is to support women leadership to higher positions of leadership in public service. And we've done very well in that. We have some 55 women in about 34, 35 African countries who are women holding high positions of public service, but who have the potential, the capability, and the courage to go to even higher positions. We also want to break this thing where it takes too long time for a woman to be president. We hope that some of these women will rise on the basis of their own effort and their own capabilities, that they will rise and can compete effectively and can win. And I hope we'll see a few of them maybe in the next 5 to 10 years. What we do hope for, more importantly, we do planning a facility that will bring African women and the works and the performance of African women, high women who have made a difference in their society. And we have a place that's called Musieja. Musieja is a fine name for Women House. And we hope that we can get that going, and that would be an attraction to all these women who are our Amuje. I always try to get George Wenner to make sure I pronounce his name correctly if I could. I always say it. So to make sure it's correct, and we hope that this would be an attraction when they have the meetings, instead of us going to different other countries and hold meetings, like we're going to be going to Nairobi next week to have a meeting with some of them. That would be able to do it here in Liberia, and that would bring a lot of international guests to Liberia. That would be something that I want to be proud of. So I pray that we can make it happen.
And President,
But let's go back to the message.
So the annual message.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Other things that
President, you were also concerned about the Transition Act. You say it was a good
No, I
idea.
thought it. I said I don't think it existed before. I certainly didn't know of it. So I had to know when I ceased to be president. I had to know who would give me some cars to ride. What would be my
But I
pension?
thought it was there
What would be
towards
my
the.
pension?
Is it
I
not
thought
there,
it was being
Madam
discussed
President?
towards the ending of your
If you can
term.
find it, tell it to me so I can go check. Or maybe they're giving me the wrong thing. Go check.
Really?
You're not giving me enough cars, huh?
Wow.
No, I think we're doing. I think even if something is there about, what is the what amount of pension should be, a full transition act sets out by law what needs to be done when someone has completed the presidency, taking on another role. And it's a really important thing that they're doing it, and I thought. But let's go to someone that
Yeah, so you want to pick up again? You got your notes there. with you.
Yeah, I want to talk about roads.
Okay.
We see all this stuff going on. And I must say that one has to commend the fact that many of the projects that are starting now, many of the road projects, whether it's the Lopa Road or whether it's the Bombing Road or whether it's one of those roads, were started and funds were committed for some of them. Now we see them starting, even what they call the overpass,
Yes.
which is something like a relief, a road that provides something. Even that was started before, but it never was taken forward. So to see them go forward now, I think is something that we all can be proud, but we need a little bit more. We do need to get some, we need for people to know what it is that being constructed. When they get on that road for 1 hour, 2 hours, give them a little bit of joy when they see something and say, this is what the final product will look like. So the person will be very happy going through that road to know all the suffering they made in the road to expect this, whether it's 6 months or 1 year or whatever it is. So let us please ask our Minister of Public Works.
Put up the
Do that.
You mean something
the
visual?
road design, yeah.
I am particularly happy for the St. Paul to Waterside Road. But I want to know more about this Carrot contract that is going to build this road. I think we should ask the Minister of Public Works. Give us more information on that. I don't want to say more about it
President, why are you concerned?
because I don't know it. So the concessions are easy. The annual budget gave information of plenty of the concessions. It didn't give much. Maybe it's not for the annual message to do anything. It's the thing that the public
That's
works
history.
No, the reason I'm concerned is because there should have been a road from Clay to the Swan Mecca Road in my administration. And it was never done. And when I asked the concerned authority, I'm not going to call name, the person who know themselves. I asked the concerned authority, why or not, then he said it took the money. So let's find out about this before somebody else takes it.
So why you want
Go ahead,
the
Ryan.
sector minister, the minister of
To
public
speak on
works,
that.
to speak a little more about it, so to give us an appreciation, who's winning the contract, how much it costs, how long it's gonna last.
I'm sure it is.
Public information.
In other words, what I'm trying to say is for many of these roads, which are very necessary, because you have to have people able to get around, and you have to have, our transportation costs reduced because of road. We have to make our health facilities and education facilities, more functional. If you have good roads that will enable people to get to these services. But we do need a little bit more information to the public. Maybe I can ask somebody for some, and they might agree to give it to me or not give it to me. But just think of those who get on the air and just say things that they don't know. If they were getting more information, they would not be saying some of those things. That's my word, is let's give information to the public. If there's a concession, just like you have the ArcelorMittal contract, it's spoken every day. It has the Ivanhoe concession. It's spoken every day about it. But then there'll be one like this one, no answer. You see it in the annual message, but no information. It's not a concession. it looks like a strange concession to anybody who's never heard that. You hear, you know, as law, you know. Anyway, I get my point on that is faith.
Madam, before you go forward, I just want to announce the two numbers that people can send their text messages. 0886 546 166. 0886 546 166 or 0777 44 0000. 0777 44 0000. Text messages only. Pass that on to the former president so that she can address your concern. We're literally at the halfway mark. Madam, you can continue.
All right. Agriculture. I'm a farmer. I have a small farm, which I go to, and I've done quite a bit with it. I made personal investment in it, no government, all my money. And it's not that big anyway. But you can see the agriculture authorities go around a little bit and see things and see some of these small farmers and see some of us who are farmers. Just come there and tell us that we're doing the right thing, you know. So I wish it can be a deputy assistant minister, director, whoever it is, please come out there and see us. You have women farmers, you have the association. You want to see them do more. And the one thing in the agriculture sector that really hurts is that I went out to President Obasanjo, and I begged him to come and establish something here for the production of eggs. And he did it. And he started it. And that today, that facility is almost non-functional. Now, I didn't expect, current authorities to do anything about it. It's not their fault. But somebody should have been out there, even the previous administration. Somebody should have gone out there because it was working. They were performing and producing eggs for the market. But you always have other people, incomers, who want to import eggs. And they would always do things that would stop local people from doing this. So in this particular case, it's just the agriculture officials to please get out there. Please don't look at this thing. Do let Obasanjo investment go to waste. Now you have lights going up there. You would not have to have generators anymore like before. You would be able to go back into operating. That plant was meant to serve both Liberia and Sierra Leone because of its location, right on the road to Hickman, on land that we got to enable him to do it. The land is owned by me. The land is owned by the community. The community was to do the corn and thing for it, but all of that never happened because it didn't have good supervision.
Now, President,
I'm not saying their management was perfect now, because he brought his own management team. So when they say that was the cause, but that's not good enough cause. When something is an investment in our country, no matter who management is, you got to jump inside and make sure it's functioning.
Now, President, on the contrary, that the president told us with the State of the Nation's address that the government is providing some substantial amount of support for small farmers across the country. Let me just read something. He said, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Madam President Pro Tem, and members of the legislature, I am pleased, President Boakai said, to report today that we've made substantial progress across key sectors, including agriculture, the heart, he says, of the arrest agenda for inclusive development and a driver of job creation. The president said in 2025, over 198,000 farmers, that's a very big number, received government support, leading to expanded rice and cocoa cultivation and increased aquaculture output.
I cannot contest that because I don't have data that will enable me to say something differently. If I cannot contest it because I lack the information and data, I don't. And so I don't think I need to comment.
This is a program, The Liberian Renaissance, changing minds and changing attitudes. Send us a message on 0886 546 166 0777 440000. And then you want to continue?
Just looking through to see what important to me.
Giving you time.
Somebody is we can just we can just something here, on I think on health, I'll say the same thing about health, that I wish we would have the authorities to a little bit more. There are many local clinics that are operated by women. And when I go there and I ask them, has the minister or has some of the authority ever come here to see your clinic, to see what you're doing? They said no. Two of them, you recall, I put them on the air here.
Yes.
Since that, not a single person, authority person has gone to see.
You did that?
Yeah. One in Kakata
Wow.
and one in Marshall.
Yeah. And one, I go to the one in Kakata from time to time because I know the woman, she's trained and whatnot. But when I ask her, somebody been there to just check on what you do, you bring all these foreign doctors in, they serve at your clinic. No. So again, my comment on that is we just need a little more enthusiasm, a little more activity, a little more, effort on the part of people in the health sector and in the agriculture sector, just to make things really fast. On the contrary, I can just say that we see a lot of energy from the authorities on education because it's going so well. We're now going to have we had a small program before, but we're going to have an increased thing for the teachers' education in Liberia, and part of that support is going to come from the Asaka Foundation. I sit on their board, and we're trying to encourage them to do even more. And George Renan, who used to be the education minister, works with them right now, and he's trying to do a lot to make things happen for them. And on education, let me say it because there's been a lot of talks about this. I visited 2 schools recently, education, primary schools. One was a little school they called SPS something. It was very, very intense because they're a small school with quality education. They bring the kids in, kids pay a lot of money. Let me say that. And it's paid by their parents. It's not paid by the parents. But it's so well organized that they have a, parent teacher association that's functioning. They have buses that pick up the kids to go to school. They have kids have their lunch on time properly and all. They have teachers that are qualified. It's working. That one, nobody perhaps knows about it. Nobody talks about it. But I went to City of Hope. Everybody talk about that. And why did I go there? I go there because people bring information to me about things they know outside of Liberia. People in the international community will ask me, did you know so and so is happening in Liberia? Did you see so and so what it is? Did it happen in your time? Most times it didn't happen in my time. So I may not have known about it. Like the City of Hope is a tremendous, but it's very high scale. I hope people saw some of the photographs because, the primary, you bring kids in who are orphans. Orphans, that's the important part about it. And they bring these kids in and take them all the way to high school and do everything for them there. They bring them in free of tuition, free of books, they stay on the campus. They go to the city. Well, I talked to the former First Lady, that's her place. I had never been there, but I thought it's my obligation to go there. Some of these things, when I get information on it out of Liberia, I cannot say to them, I don't know. I never went there. I didn't know what you're talking about. At least if I've done, I go and I see how I feel to play that song. You didn't play that song.
Yes.
Are we talking?
The thing I know, give it to Miriam. She will play that.
Or during the break?
Yeah, during the break. The thing you know about me talking.
Anyways.
Oh, that song.
Yeah.
That song. But Madam President, why do you think people spoke about your visit to the City of Hope the way they spoke? Social media got jammed and flawless minutes after you left the place, and there were a lot of interpretations and pictures.
I did not go to social media, so I don't know what they said. People tell me what they said. I think some of them were very pleased with some photos about me conversing with these kids. And these were young kids. We talk about young kids, 5-year-old to 10-year-old kids, speaking about science, speaking about infrastructure, sustainability. One of the facilities like that is going to be very difficult, and I'm quite sure that the president knows that it would be difficult. How she handles it, it's not my business to comment on. I hope it can be sustained, like I said, very high scale. But it's a good thing, and I hope we can get more of this type of facility for orphanages, and for whatnot. And we can get them more. And my encouragement to her, which I said is, make sure every county, young kids from every county
That's brought.
can be accommodated. So it's not that, and I think that the aiming toward that, I was told. So I think it's a good thing, and it's a major investment, huge amount. And I don't let the 23,000 questions go unanswered. I cannot see a facility and don't ask how much it costs about $4 million. So it's a major thing. The teachers live there. It's too big. It's hard to do. We could not perhaps replicate it too much in any other place, unless we do find a way to do it. It's very difficult.
But President, before you continue, because the interest, when you come on, you jam the telephone line. I just want to take a few of the text messages, and then we'll come back to you, and then I'm sure Clarence and I will pick up this one. So, good evening, Mother. My name is Bala M. Allison from Bummy. We're missing you, Ma. Good luck, long life. Good evening, Madam SIRLEAF. Thank you for the maturity always exhibited by you. You don't have to tell us, or your action speaks louder than words. Stephen Zon from Zulu Whiskey, that's in Grand Jide County. Good evening, Madam SIRLEAF. I'm J. Michael Wright from Janstown behind Quebec, District number 11. What could you have recommended to be done differently when it comes to mechanized farming in Liberia?
Am I supposed to answer these questions?
If you choose.
Then I bring a yellow machine, make it available so we can all rent it.
Good evening, sir. Please ask my grandma, Madam Ellen Johnson Silly, how does she see the current, maybe you answer this, how does she see the current hardship that current youth in Liberia are faced with? There's so many, I can't do all of them, just do one more.
Those kinds of questions are hard.
But the one you answer.
Some of the questions, that some people have hardship, other people don't. I think there's more a country has to do, more a government has to do to try to meet the needs of the people. I wish that the harmonization of salaries will be addressed so it can be changed so people can get a little more money to stop hardships, But, beyond that, sometimes too, the hardship can be from our own action. So now people too lazy.
Really?
Madam President, sometimes I sit on the radio and I want peace in Liberia. We're not fighting war, but I learned in school that the definition of war is not the absence of a gun. Now, I'm concerned about you former presidents. And thank God we have two. We have Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and George Weah. Do you sometimes, did you sometimes pick up your phone and call President Weah at that time when you were concerned about some issues of governance in the country to say, Mr. President, I think I see it this way. Or I think I heard it this way. I don't know. But do you do same to President Buhari? I'm one person who think when our leaders are meeting and they come out of one room, it is a representation of peace. And it will get rid of a lot of the speculations and assumptions in the country. What do you think?
I have been in communication and continue to be in communication with President Buhari, and I've always been in communication with President Biya. I do not call them to question the decision they make. I don't think that's my role. What I would like to see, which has not happened, maybe we'll get it happen at one of these days when President Buhari himself is ready. He will call the two former presidents and he will say what he thinks, we may want to just make a suggestion, give an idea, make a comment. That's as far as I want to go.
Mhm.
I want to stay in touch with them, but I'm not going to be.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Something you've
I-
always talked.
I've always spoke. I want to see three of you in a room
Yeah.
talking about Liberia.
Not my call.
We will follow up on that to instigate that thought. This is your program, the Liberian Renaissance, changing minds and changing attitudes. I've got only 10 more minutes to go because we have to end before the news comes on. But we're having a wonderful time
But
with
I
former
don't-
President
I don't-
Ellen
I
Johnson.
don't want you to leave one subject, but this subject is very important to me. I will leave all the other ones. I will say them well. This. There was a statement, if you got it, statement that you can see, when the president talked about land issues. Can't remember exactly what he said, but he did talk about speculation on land issues, how it's causing problem, and the government is going to put a moratorium on public land. First of all, putting a moratorium on public land is, in my opinion, very valid. It needs to be done. Because people go around and anywhere they see a land unoccupied, they go and take it
Yes.
and they start building. I'm facing some of that personally in the property that my mother had. And then you have to go through a long legal issue, and the legal issue is not very effective, it's not very timely. So you say you and lawyers fight those things time after time after time. It's frustrating. So I don't know how he will operationalize the statement about putting a moratorium, what will be the next follow steps. But let's go further than that. I wish we would now begin to say to all of those holding valuable properties in critical places in the country, like Broad Street, like other streets, in which houses have not been they have not been used. So they're being taken over by vagrants, by other people. Those houses sit there and deteriorate. Nice houses, some of them very strong houses that used to be operational in the past. They're not operational anymore. And there are so high for the city, in the city. I don't know exactly what we can do because most of those are owned by Liberians who are not resident in the country. And perhaps with children who although are not resident in the country. So what do we do about this? We have to ask them to do something. Either develop the property, sell the property, so that government does not have to expropriate those properties. But at some point, we've got to develop this city. We can't have all these worn out buildings sitting there year after year, decade after decade. It just is not proper. It's to see people that go to Accra and they come back and they say, "Oh, we love Accra."
And they buy property in Accra.
Yeah, we buy property in Accra too. We love Accra. But oh, if you want your city to look like Accra, you have to work on it. If you're a property owner and you love your country, you gotta do something. That's so I know I will get a whole lot of talk will go on to say you telling people to sell it. Yes. Yes. Develop it or sell it.
Develop it or sell it.
Or, you know, can't leave the city this way if we want a city that we can be proud of. We gotta do some of these things, you know.
And the president
some
went
of
as
these
far
things-
as
some of
saying he
these
would
called
set up.
disruptive policies.
Okay.
There are times when disruptive policies are necessary, and some disruptive policies are necessary on an issue.
Online issue. The president also said he will go further by, proposing a law for the establishment or setting up of a special court for property disputes to reduce the backlog of land cases in the country.
Every local post we got plenty of them and functioning.
Come again?
We got one to handle the issue. Let it one functioning be.
We should strengthen the existing one
And
instead of setting up another one.
exactly.
Okay.
My brother, this is your day. Go ahead. You've got some notes. That
You
haven't
completed your notes
exhausted.
now?
No, I got all my issues, so you now go to your all my notes.
Oh, she said she finished. We should take that.
Yeah, let's go to what you want to say.
Okay, so I we can't bring it on. And in fact, by the way, the DG whispered to me that we can go an extra 30 minutes, but that's if you choose. And thank him very much. It's very kind. But we have to talk also about the EJS Center. And I know I always say that as a former president, you seem not to retire because you're all over the place for good reasons and in good places. But how's the center faring? What's the agenda for 2026?
We hope that the full groundbreaking, I don't like to use groundbreaking because we did a symbolic
Right.
groundbreaking some time ago when President Obasanjo was here. But when I say we're going to do groundbreaking, which is what the management team would like to say, this time you will see machines on ground. We expect that architect is now, I think those who have been competing for construction work are completing their processes. We should get it started. And I'm thankful that let me say I'm thankful that the president, an African president, has provided the means for us to get started, and also from U.S. Foundation has provided means for us to get started. So I'm looking for our own president now.
5,000 contribution. It has to be delivered.
What contribution you said?
When you had a program from a president.
No. Let's start with it.
Okay.
I'm not pressing any
Okay.
issue like that.
Whatever it comes.
Let's start it. And people want to see something. Many people like local commercial people who have building materials and do those things. Many of them have promised to do this. Other people have always said, "Oh, we'll help you with some CNN or something." But I don't want to get to that until they see something happening.
moving.
President, your quest for women leadership on the continent cannot be overemphasized. Every time we talk about women in leadership, the reference is most of the time Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Like people would do in sports, sometimes they scout players, good players, and want them to advance. Is the center working with women institutions and organizations in different African countries? Have you spotted women who you think have got everything it takes to be president of the respective country?
We have what is called an African Women Leaders Network. I am the patron of that institution. I signed the letters that go out where it's a state. I go to African Union summits, and I'll be going to one just next week or so to talk about women. It's we who have put them to pass the whatever they call it, the communique or whatever it is for the protection of women. So it's very clear that it's not just the center. As much as we work on it, we work with others. I'm co-chair of the African Union Women's Leaders Network, co-chair of that. So there's no question that what I do comes much more than the work that is done. But the center work is very focused and is being recognized for that. And if there's anything, why did I do this? Because I know what I went through personally, my life story, and what I went through to advance to where I did. And I want to help women. So no woman should go through what I went through. That's my main objective.
Madam President, before Dr. Brooklyn comes in, what do you miss about the presidency?
You want me to say what? You want me to just to say something? What the former president of one second asked that question. He said the red carpets.
I like that.
I like that too. I like that.
I'm not gonna tell you the red carpets. No, I think it was the right time. It was the right time for me to do what I did. And there was in my last year, I had difficulties with Ebola. We lost 2 years of trying to achieve the goals that we had set. And in the final year, before the end of the transition, there were like lot of political chicanery, that created some issues. And so under those circumstances, the best thing to do, was to make sure that we ended everything and had a proper transition, a peaceful, democratic transition. That's what I look for. And we achieved that. And not only did we achieve that, we had a settlement, which is something many countries
Right.
cannot say,
Success.
that we had two successful, peaceful transitions. Amen to that. I can remain where I am and do what I'm doing.
Not so quick, because Prince Vonle of Vimba County says, "Good evening, Mother. Are you thinking of coming back to politics?" Let me
That takes only one answer.
no.
No.
Let me just do one or two more because we're
Well, let me
ending.
be careful now.
But you just said no, Madam
longer,
President.
no longer competitive.
Oh, okay.
No
I
longer.
don't want to put that to think that when there's something going on,
You still get involved.
that are political issues, that I would just say, no, I can't.
Yeah, because that's why I told you men.
So okay. You guys-
Good evening, Madam Shirley, former President of the Republic of Liberia. My name is Victor MC Levy. I'm following you at my residence, Christopolis. I like those great information you are sharing with the public. I'm happy to hear you once again. God bless you and the rest of those in studio, the clients of me and you and others. My name is Reverend Brunel B. Compton from Sino, United Methodist Minister. I really appreciate our former president for her continuous pieces of advice. Sharing your experience is a great lesson to everyone. God bless you. That's one of your United Methodist District Superintendents. Yeah. Sign it. And we're going to sign it for the annual conference.
It's announced that I checked it, so.
Yeah, I will take your offering on your behalf. Thanks so much, Madam President. How do you want to see Liberia in the next 10 years when it comes to accountability, particularly in public sector, J. Michael Wright, District 11. That will be the last because it keeps, I got too many here, man. I'm all positive and constructive. Clarence, before we come to you, Clarence, I receded so you could do more. And that's why you're wondering why I keep allowing you to run
to
the
just
show.
show.
Because Clarence has always wanted to sit with the president, and do this and saw this opportunity. But give us your closing comments.
Well, Dr. Brooklyn, I just want to close up by saying, for me, this is a wonderful opportunity. Every time I listen to you on the radio, on this Changing Minds and Changing Attitude program, I thought it was something that we all should embrace and run with. It is about perception. It is about changing our minds and changing our attitude and embracing. The Madam President was just talking, and I was listening to her talking about some of the things she's thinking about and some of the concerns, especially somebody who served the country. After service, she would have decided to sit by her grandchildren and say, I will just sit to Jelly Dry. I'm resting. But she's saying, look, I think there could be more Ellen Johnson SIRLEAF. So, Dr. Brooklyn, I just want to say thank you for this program. You may not know the extent to which you continue to impact people every time you talk about the changing our minds and changing our attitudes. But I've always said, in the midst of all these different public discourse, let's do it with civility, because civility matters most in what we want to do. To keep this country peaceful, we must all be safe. We can have our exchange in our ideas and our opinions, and that is the reason why I'm always concerned in the morning about our president's meeting. I've always said, look,
you've harassed me over and over.
Do you know what it means, Dr. Brooklyn, for example, if we saw former Presidents Ellen Johnson and George Weah and President Bwaka in 1 hour, even if they forced there and they keep on smiling, the message it sends is that, look, in the midst of everything, these people are together. So don't get tired. Don't get tired. Continue to talk to us, to changing our minds and change our attitudes. And people like us are just stepping after you, because all of us have a responsibility to this country. And I want to say thank you. This was always something that I asked you for.
Yes.
I want an opportunity to again, sit with Madam President to just have a conversation like we've had. So thank you.
Thank you, Clarence. I think the world of you. Ruben, here's your mother.
Yeah, Madam President, I want to appreciate you for what you do mostly for young girls and women, and also of the young people in Liberia. And to our citizens of Liberia, I want you all as a citizen to put Liberia first. We need to acquire the sense of belongings. We need to cultivate the mindset that Liberia is all we have. We need to do everything positively to develop Liberia, and Liberia is all we have, and we can do better as Liberia. Thank you.
Madam, we are grateful to you for availing yourself over and over and over. You don't get tired. And we owe you a debt of gratitude. The nation owes you a debt of gratitude. West Africa, the African continent, and the world owe you a debt of gratitude. We're just pleased to have you on.
Thank you, Dr. Brooke. Thank you. And to the public, those who have responded by making comments or asking questions. I'm sure that after this show, there'll be lots of comments, some on social media, some on telephones. I'm sure that if people will get to me, and that's fine. I think that's the spirit of an open society. The spirit to be able to say things. When you say things, please say things as much as possible as you can that are correct, that are right. If you're going to criticize with knowledge, not just for talk. And let's hope that whatever I said can be looked at, that others may want to just see what they can do in the areas where we need to do more as citizens, particularly those areas where people may be affected because of something I said, like land issues and things like that. I think when they think about it seriously, they will know that those actions cannot be avoided. And by saying it, we have an opportunity to think seriously about it. When we think seriously about a problem, then we find a solution. And that's why I'm hoping that whatever I say will help us find a solution. Whatever may have been becoming that needed some rethought, rethinking, readjustments, reaction. So thanks to everybody for listening. This was my first in this year.
First of many to come. That was the voice of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I've been Larry Bruckler, along with Damoa Fofana, Emmanuel C. George, Mariam Gabla, and Musu Sirleaf.
But Larry, one last thing now.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to do it. I would do. You could thank the DG
Yes.
for this and all the staff that sit here patiently recording, batting their eyes or smiling, or frowning, or whatever, whatever facial expression we may have to show their likes or dislikes for what we say. We owe them a big thank you because they are here
Yes.
and they carry out this duty so faithfully and so properly. So thanks to all.
I was moving into the DG aspect. The
Right,
DG
go
and I
ahead.
have been having some good conversation, and he's been generous with the station. I do want to say, dear friends, that we're not moving to invite those of you out there to purchase some spots on this program so that we raise some money for other things and to also support ELBC. So please contact us, contact the ELBC marketing department, and we will get going. I want to thank all of you, including former Madam President, who always make this great. Until next time, be an agent of change. So long.